Anyway, you might remember before the last election, the Labour Party printed up cards like these. A list of 5 things they promised to achieve if elected.
And like Tony Blair, we've written down our 5 unchanging aims for this series on this card, which we promise to achieve by the end of the series. And here are those aims.
Go.
Aim 1 is to assassinate BBC Director-General John Burt, take over and then put The Simpsons, Seinfeld and Larry Sanders on regularly at a time when people will actually get to see them, even if there is snooker on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thanks, applaud it.
Yeah.
Let them know what you think.
Aim 2 is to balance the slushy commercial nature of St Valentine's Day by making February the 15th St Skeletor's Day, a festival dedicated to the destruction of love, saucy greeting cards and people with girlfriends.
So, no Valentine's Day gifts for Rich this year then. And aim 3 is to establish a new Winter Olympic sport called carling, in which teams of women in leotards will skim the naked body of rugby love rat Will Carling over jagged ice at high speeds.
Good catch on. Aim 4, slightly more obscurely, to establish a new Winter Olympic sport, curling, in which teams of women in leotards skim the naked body of turnabout quiz show host Rob Curling over jagged ice at high speeds.
Aim 5 is to have the headphones that Dave Stewart wore at the Brit Awards permanently nailed onto his head with nails and the words "I suck" carved into his face with a hot wire. That is the aim there.
That will happen. Those are the aims. By April the 5th, all that I have said will be so.
That's right. What Richard said, let no man dare to put asunder.
Don't put it asunder.
See, they've made a little action figure of Lee Hurst there. Anyway,
there's one of you, Stu. Look, he's got the same haircut.
Right. Now, if you were watching last week, you'll know that, like the new Labour Party, we have written down 5 unchanging aims, which we promise to achieve by the end of the series.
Yeah, let's recap on those aims and see how we've done so far. OK, aim 1 is to mark Michael Flatley's imminent retirement by organising a gala performance of Riverdance involving all the dancers who've ever worked with him, and that's going to take place on Michael Flatley's face.
That's right. Aim 2, to reflect public excitement at the British Winter Olympics bobsleigh bronze by sending a drunk clown to some deserted waste ground to let off a single party popper and then fall down in a puddle.
Yeah. Aim 3, to counteract global warming by getting all our viewers to blow on the world as if it was soup.
Aim 4, to replace the Queen Mother's dodgy hips with 2 rotating circular saw blades, making her the ideal combination of beloved public figure and useful industrial woodcutting tool.
Useful. And aim 5, to avert the Gulf War by bombarding Saddam Hussein with the one weapon he could never resist. Love.
Those are the aims. We haven't achieved any of them yet, but there's still 6 weeks to go.
Let's recap on our 5 new Labour-style aims, which we vowed to fulfil by the end of this series.
Aim 1 is to finally prove that Bill Clinton never had sex with Monica Lewinsky, or indeed anyone, including Hillary Clinton, has no genitals, and in fact reproduces by casting his spores into the wind like a dandelion.
We're going to do it. Aim 2 is to try and express surprise at the failure of Pamela Anderson's marriage to Tommy Lee without sounding sarcastic.
That's right. I was surprised to hear their marriage is failing.
Can't be done,
you see.
No.
And aim 3 is to have Elton John's knighthood transferred to the noble Colombian peasant cocaine farmers who sustained his creativity during the 1980s.
Aim 4, to counteract the problem of the melting polar ice caps by getting all our viewers in coastal towns to drink the sea.
And aim 5 is to follow the success of the quiz shows Have I Got Sport for You, Have I Got Pop Music for You, Have I Got Adverts for You, and the new one, Have I Got Jeremy Hardy for You, by creating our own quiz show-based quiz show, Have I Got News for You, for you. Imagine how that would work. Make it so. Now the aims for this week's show, right? Aim 1 is to try and reduce the Earth's gravitational pull to avoid being hit by an asteroid in the year 2028 by forcing everyone in America to lose at least 6 stone each.
Aim 2, to follow the announcement that Gordon Brown is finally getting married by finding a nice young wife for Michael Portillo.
That's right. Aim 3 is to fix small plastic trowels onto the end of the Queen Mother's walking sticks, making her the ideal combination of active mobile public figure and useful dog waste collecting device.
Aim 4 is to raise enough money to make everything on the QVC shopping channel free to everyone who wants them, which probably won't cost that much. I think I've got enough on me, actually.
And aim 5 is to have the panpipes of the panpipe-playing busker who plays the same tune outside our office all day, smashed and banged into his face. Or something.
Bit of a personal one, that one.
Yeah.
We were trying to write those aims and we couldn't because he was playing the pan fights. If you see him, hit him.
Yeah,
in Leicester Square every day. Hit him!
Don't hit him, right? Go on.
Here are this week's aims. Aim 1, to genuinely put Leonardo DiCaprio in an iron mask and to write, "I look like a sprout" on the front of it in Tiffany.
Aim 2 is to beat the world record for transplanting a liver into a 3-day-old baby by transplanting a liver into a 2-day-old baby, whether it needs a new liver or not.
Aim 3, to genuinely put Leonardo DiCaprio below decks in an ocean-going liner, crash it into an iceberg and then hold his little sprout head under the water until he be dead.
Aim 4, getting applause for that. Fun bloke. Yeah, aim 4, to punish the blabbermouth directors of Newcastle United by forcing them to drink their own weight in Newcastle Brown.
No one deserves that punishment. Aim 5, to genuinely have Leonardo DiCaprio shaved from head to foot, painted red and smashed in the face with shovels.
What? What Leonardo DiCaprio film is that in, Rich?
One that I am currently writing.
Right. Here are this week's aims, right? Aim 1 is to celebrate old John Major's 55th birthday by henceforth making every March the 29th John Major's Day. A day when everyone in Britain has to talk like John Majors for 24 hours.
Oh, that's a good idea, Stu.
I can do that in Cool.
Where are my peas?
Well done.
Thanks, Wesley. Aim 2, to have the fans who queued for 9 days for tickets for Cliff Richard's 40th anniversary Albert Hall show rewarded with a swift and humane death.
Aim 3 is to sell a new BBC scratch card, which, when scratched, reveals a photo of John Burt kissing the director of Camelot's bum.
Oh, watch out, he's our boss, Stu. Aim 4, to inform all British newspaper cartoonists that smoking cannabis does not make you fly.
And aim 5 is to follow this week's distasteful Princess Diana Cindy Doll tribute with a specially commissioned Princess Diana scale extra. And that is all the aims for this week.
Here are this week's aims. Aim 1, to prevent any more babies being stolen from hospital by killing all newborn children in a King Herod-style purge of the infants.
Aim 2, to have things called what they really are. That means changing Starburst back to Opal Fruits, Choco Krispies back to Cocoa Pops, Anton Deck back to PJ and Duncan, and De Montfort University back to Leicester Polytechnic. And Leicester can't change its spots, can it?
Aim 3 is to celebrate Macaulay Culkin's forthcoming stag night by locking him in a house for an evening with 2 hardened criminals armed with real guns and spikes.
And aim 4 is to save time and money in organising next year's Grand National by just having some horses shot at the start.
And aim 5 is to have Prince William. That's just it, just to have Prince William. He's a good-looking young man and he will be mine. Those are the aims for this week.
Here's our aims for the next 7 days.
Aim 1 is to prove that laughter really is the best medicine by screening Robin Williams' new film Patch Adams 24 hours a day in all hospitals and then watch the sick miraculously rise from their beds and leave.
Aim 2 is to remind Richard Branson that although the round-the-world balloon record has fallen, no one has yet sailed a balloon directly into the heart of the sun.
Aim 3. It's up for the taking. Aim 3 is to make Lady Camilla Parker Bowles' public appearances more acceptable to unforgiving die-hard royalists by making her wear a Lady Diana mask.
And aim 4 is to hope that now Kelly Brook has been chosen as the new female presenter of The Big Breakfast, that it'll mean that all those B-list Channel 5 and children's TV presenters stick-insect 20-something slags who spent all last autumn prosing in their bra and knickers in GQ and Esquire in the hope of being spotted by The Big Breakfast talent scouts will finally put their clothes back on and spare us the disgusting sight of their repellent, undernourished skeleton bodies and squashed-up Wonder Bra curdled milk chicken breasts.
Some kind of problem with that, Stu?
No, it's fine.
Good. And aim 5 is to be the first to reveal the identity of Prince Edward's best man. It's John Inman.
Just leave that.
You see what I'm saying? And Danny LaRue is going to be the matron of honour, Stu.
This week's aims of things we plan to achieve in the next 7 days. Aim 1 is to ensure that the IRA do not secure the propaganda coup of blowing up the Millennium Dome by sending in a crack squad of Girl Scouts to smash it to pieces with toffee hammers sometime in June.
Aim 2 is to stop the pretense that Britain is still a religious country by renaming Easter Sunday Egg Sunday.
Egg, you said
and
egg.
then crucifying Mr Cadbury's parrots.
Aim 3 is to prevent the publication of the proposed Braille GQ-style lads magazine so that blind people will be spared experiencing millions of 20-something twig-leg B-list children's TV and Channel 5 big breakfast presenter wannabe slags stripping off to reveal their rancid, undernourished, semi-naked training bar, Colonel Sanders' poultry abattoir breasts.
Do you have a problem about this?
I haven't got a problem, I said.
Aim 4 is to kidnap Gwyneth Paltrow and subject her to an ordeal that will really give her something to cry about. A continuous tape loop of her Oscar acceptance speech.
And Aim 5 is to create a new TV vehicle for Craig Charles, reflecting his two main interests, mechanical fighting machines and the stripper pubs of South London, to be called Robot Whores. Now, this week's aims.
Aim 1 is to prevent media intrusion into the life of the Millennium Baby by having all children born on the 1st of January 2000 murdered in a King Herod-style purge of the infants.
And in the light of the BBC raising £2 million to poach Johnny Vaughan, Aim 2 is to raise £4 million to have Kelly Brook scrambled.
Aim 3 is to counteract President Yeltsin's threats to use nuclear weapons against NATO targets by threatening him in turn with the full force of the Mardi Gras bomber. Plastic bag.
Aim 4 is to point out to Stephen Lawrence murder suspect David Norris that simply repeatedly calling Martin Bashir Martin in a polite voice is not enough to establish his innocence.
And Aim 5 is to have all the leek-eating, taffy countrymen of Wales chopped up, mate, and they should be left with nothing but freaking stumps.
You can't say that. It's outrageous, racist.
It's just banter, Martin. Harmless banter. I'm a lovable rose.
Oh, yeah. Lovable rose, you are.
Aim 1 is to try and predict which will last longer, Jerry Spicy's solo career or the marriage of Posh Spice and David Beckham.
Aim 2 is to live to see the day when the US Air Force will take part in a war without bombing people who are on their own side.
Aim 3 is to have the 5 Lawrence murder suspects castrated with blunt butter knives, disemboweled and pulled apart by wild horses.
You can't say that, Richard.
It's banter, Martin. Harmless banter.
Aim 4 is to ask House of Lords Harridan Baroness Young if she'll be happier to let 16-year-old boys have gay sex if she's allowed to watch.
And Aim 5 is to pass a law making it compulsory for 16-year-old boys to have sex with Baroness Young. 24 hours a day, every day, until she finally cheers up and stops spoiling everyone else's fun, the miserable, dried-up old cow. Crack your face, Grandma!
Rich, you can't say that. She's the Vice President of the Board of Governors of the BBC.
Is she?
Yeah.
It was banter, Martin, harmless
Too late
banter.
for And now, this week's aims, which have all been thoroughly checked by highly paid lawyers. Aim 1 is to snatch Liam Gallagher and Patsy Kensit's forthcoming child at birth, throw it naked into a city sewer to be raised by rats, in order to give it a better chance of having a normal life.
Aim 2 is to punish John McCarthy for not inviting Jill Morell to his wedding by forcing him to marry Terry Waite.
Aim 3 is to snatch Bono Vox's forthcoming child at birth and have it raised by Patsy Kensit and Liam Gallagher in order to give it a better chance of having a normal life.
Aim 4 is to prove that Marilyn Manson is responsible for everything bad that's ever happened, ever, including the war in Kosovo, the Great Fire of London, and the death of Petra, the Blue Peter dog.
And our final aim is to have any market stall holder who misuses the possessive apostrophe tattooed on the face with the phrase, "I didn't pay attention at school, and that is why I have to work in a market." Selling fruit which I mistakenly imagine has the ability to accrue wealth.
All right, leave it, Stu. It's not worth it.
And now the aims for this week. Aim 1 is to try and ease the strain of full-time partying that has driven tragic it girl Tara Palmer-Tompkinson to collapse by getting a really stressful job in a mine or a factory or just getting her a job.
Aim 2 is to send Sean Connery to raise funds for the SNP in any country he can do the accent of.
So, just Scotland then.
Mainly
right,
Scotland.
Okay. Aim 3 is to present a solid bronze award to everyone who worked on Channel 4's 11 o'clock show with the phrase, "Yeah, but Ali G was good, though."
Who's going to copy us now, Stu? Who's going to copy our jokes now they've gone? Aim 4 is to make it illegal for men to go around dressed up as women.
What's your point there?
Nothing! I've told you nothing happened!
And Aim 5 is to make it law that Gail Porter must never be naked anywhere ever again, even in the bath, and must always be wearing at least a minimum of 10 cardigans. Yeah, anyway, now this week's aims of things we plan to achieve in the next 7 days.
Aim 1 is to try and teach Jerry Halliwell the difference between a Shih Tzu and a Shiatsu by massaging her with a small, vicious dog.
Aim 2 is to mark Scottish independence by giving the Scottish people their own new king, Mohammed Al Fayed.
Aim 3 is to give Robbie Williams a tattoo of Richard Herring.
Aim 4 is to punish Gail Porter for her exhibitionism by making her do a 6-hour photo shoot at the South Pole wearing nothing except one yellow plimsoll.
And Aim 5, yeah, showed her. That small Scottish woman. Aim 5 is to finally solve the problem of unemployment in this country by encouraging out-of-work people to grow cress in the moist cleft of their buttocks. Cress which they can then feed their family with and have enough left over to sell.
What, at 29p a punnet?
Exactly, Stu. It's good, isn't it? Cress.
And now, this week's aims. Aim 1 is to redress the imbalance caused by Mel Gibson and Braveheart by making a film casting Rab C. Nesbitt as the leader of an Aboriginal uprising against a load of gay Australian farmers.
Aim 2 is to really promote breastfeeding by making it law during National Breastfeeding Week that any woman or animal that is lactating must suckle anyone who is hungry or just curious.
Aim 3 is to release a new director's cut of Star Wars with the original Dave Darth Vader Prowse dialogue intact. Luke, I am your father. You didn't expect that, did you? But I am.
Aim 4, very funny, is to punish Tom Parker Bowles for taking drugs by spiking his champagne with acid and then making him look at a picture of his mother's face.
And Aim 5 is to re-release Dave Darth Vader Prowse's original Green Cross Code adverts, redubbed by the bloke who did Darth Vader's voice.
Always use the Green Cross Code, because I won't be there when you cross the road, Luke.
And now this week's aims. Aim 1 is to send Pat Robertson off round Glasgow on a Friday night at closing time wearing a T-shirt saying, "I think everyone in Scotland is gay." Time how long it is before he is proved wrong, or better still, proved right.
Aim 2 is to create the most successful TV show ever by getting Pace from Hale and Pace to star in Days Like These, in a series called Pace Like These, scheduled at 3 AM on Channel 5. Do you remember the 70s, Stu?
I remember, yeah. Aim 3 is to get all the customers of the Bank of Scotland to change the names of their accounts to Mr. I am gay and what do you think of that, Pat Robertson, and insist this is printed in full on all their checkbooks.
Aim 4 is to convince Prince Charles of the merits of genetic modification by improving his looks by giving him ears of corn.
Nice.
You see, he's got funny ears.
I know,
you see.
yeah. Aim 5 is to arrange a special gay Highland Games where instead of repeatedly tossing cabers, gay Scottish athletes repeatedly toss American TV evangelist Pat Robertson till he has died from pleasure or perhaps shame. And now this week's aims.
Aim 1 is to have a show in our next series cancelled for a sporting event that England actually managed to win.
Aim 2 is to follow up the amazing revelation that MP Ron Davis is bisexual by revealing that wee Jimmy Cranky is actually a small old woman.
No, that explains the wrinkles.
Indeed.
Then. Aim 3 is why she was allowed to marry her brother. Aim 3 is to produce a new rating-stopping show combining the BBC's two fallen stars called Hale and Felts. I said Felts. Featuring the funny fat one with the moustache and Gareth Hale as well. I was talking about Vanessa Felts all along.
Aim 4. In the light of Gail Porter's claims that she didn't strip off to promote her career, Aim 4 is to ask her,
Why did you do it then? Were you a bit hot? Was your dress itchy? Was it too tight, was it?
And aim 5 is to learn from the marketing success of chunky Kit Kats by introducing new chunky cress. Twice as thick.